We've all had moments where we thought that we've reached the pinnacle of our existence, the mountaintops, where things couldn't be any better than what they are in that moment. This is the story of the first time I reached one of those proverbial mountaintops of this thing we call life. Let's reminisce. So, 8th grade, I am 2 years into public school. I'm getting adjusted to this new way of life, and I am a hopeless romantic. I liked so many different girls, and this is a key feature in my life that persisted for a long time. One of the first women that I had a big crush on in 8th grade was named Brandy. Now, when I told my friends that I liked Brandy, I got teased because she wasn't one of the it girls. She wasn't the popular girl. So, in 8th grade, everyone liked the same 3 girls. So the fact that I was checking for someone who wasn't, on that list, I got teased about, but I didn't mind because I like Brandy. The only problem is I didn't think Brandy knew I even existed. I would see her walk into class, see her in the cafeteria, but I hadn't built up enough courage to even say anything to her. I didn't know where to start. So it took me about 6 weeks to build up enough courage to say hi. So one day in between a class, I knew where she would be. I got out and I was like, this is it. And as she walked by, I said, "Hey, Brandy." She looked back and she said, "Oh, hey, James." Oh my God. My heart melted. She knew my name. Oh, now this isn't the mountaintop that I speak of, but that day, I was on cloud 9. So I continued the pattern of just, saying hi to her and build up more courage to ask her how her day was, asked her how this class was, maybe asked her what she thought about a test that we took in math or history. We didn't have any of the same classes together, but we did have the same teachers. So trying to find some type of common ground. So I finally built up, after weeks of practice, I reached the point of having enough courage to ask Brandy out. I had practiced for weeks in my room. I had rehearsed it over and over again. I knew exactly where I was going to say it. I knew exactly what I was going to say. So on the day that I deemed appropriate, I waited for Brandy, and this was after school, the last class of the day. And I saw her, but she was with 2 of her friends. And this was not a part of my plan. So I sat there watching, waiting, hoping that she would briefly end this conversation she was having with her friends, but they just kept talking. So time was running out. And I approached Brandy. I was like, "Hey, Brandy, how you doing?" She's like, "Oh, hey, James." And what seemed like an eternity, I probably blurted it out completely not how I had planned, but I said, "Brandy, will you go out with me?" And she looked at me, and it felt like a pause that lasted a lifetime. And she said, "Yeah, where do you want to go?" Now, in my mind, I was thinking that will you go out with me was will you be my girlfriend? Not going to a certain place or anything. I hadn't got to that point. I just wanted to be my girlfriend. Brandy took it as, do you want to go out like on a date? And in the weeks and weeks of practice, it never occurred to me to think of a place that you will take her. So I had nothing. So I said, well, I don't know. I'll go anywhere with you. And she smiled. And she said, okay, well, you let me know where you want to go and we'll set this up. Now, you think that I would be ecstatic, but I was crushed because as I walked away, I heard her friends laughing and snickering and giving her a hard time. And I just felt like I had blown it. So I never brought it back up to Brandy about us going out or going anywhere. I just kept saying hi to her. I stayed a friend, but never did anything more than that. But I still like Brandy. So fast forward, we have an 8th grade dance. And I don't do dances. I'm extremely shy, but I had to go to this dance because I was going to dance with Brandy Crenshaw. So I make it to the dance. I'm dressed up and see some of my friends on the wall, and I'm basically holding the wall up the whole dance. I see Brandy, but she's talking with her friends. She's talking with other people. She's, being very social, but I never found the right moment to go up and ask her to dance. And I could feel my heart just exploding out of my chest. I was so nervous. So the entire dance goes by. And the DJ makes an announcement. All right, guys, this is the last song of the night. If you haven't asked that special lady out or haven't asked that special lady to dance, this is your last moment. It was like he was talking to me. And he said, this is the song for all the lovers out there. Q, Casey, and JoJo, All My Life. And I said, if there's any moment, this is it. So with the piano riff, the intro playing, I looked over and Brandy was by herself. And it was almost like a spotlight shone on her. I mean, this was like a movie. And she's standing there and I slowly walked up to her with the piano riff playing. And I said, Brandy, can I have this dance? She said, yeah. She said, yes. And I took her hand, I led her to the dance floor, and we started dancing to Casey and JoJo, All My Life. We danced, and in that moment, it was like nothing mattered. Everything in the world, everything around me had disappeared, and it was just me and Brandy in a room dancing. And she laid her head on my shoulder, and at that moment, I had reached that mountaintop. It couldn't get any better than what it was right then and there. And Brandy danced with me, and when the song ended, she said, thank you for that wonderful dance. And she went her way. And my mom, I walked outside, my mom was there to pick me up, and she was like, how was the dance? And the words couldn't even come out. I was still just dumbfounded by what had happened. And to this day, whenever I hear the song All My Life by Casey and JoJo, I'm transported back to that cafeteria that they turned into a dance floor in Duncanville, Texas. And I'm transported back to that time when I danced with Brandy. And everything in the world was perfect. Well, hey, thank you for listening. Peace and God bless.